Hello everyone, this is the most magnificent bird, Beak, speaking to you today. And in today's video, I'm just going to do something I haven't really done in a little while. And what I'm going to do, this is not the main purpose of this video. I'm going to just do a couple of random road maps. That's to kill some time before I get into the main purpose of this video, and that's going to be for my spoiler review of The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1 Episode 2, Who's There? And I gotta say, Episode 2, at least in my opinion, was definitely a whole lot better than the first episode because more happens. And let's just say we have Negan's knock-knock joke. That's all I will say about that. And I'll definitely get more into it in the spoiler review. That's all I'm going to hint toward. I felt like Negan was the he was definitely the MVP of episode 2, without a doubt. So yeah, before we get started, I hope all of you are doing good and staying safe out there. I'm doing alright, and I'm staying safe for the most part. So yeah, let's just do some road maps. That way, you know, there will be some gameplay in here for you guys. I'm only autoing it because, I do want to get to the spoiler review, and it might take a little bit. I'm hoping it won't take long, but more happened in the second episode. And how I'm going to do the spoiler review this time, I'm going to talk a lot, how I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about everything from the least interesting stuff to the more interesting stuff later on. So my review is going to be it's not going to be how the episode plays out in correct order. I'm just letting you know that now. So this episode, I think, primarily focuses on I say 4 main characters, okay? So it focuses on Jenny, Pearlie Armstrong, and Maggie and Negan. I'm going to talk about Jenny and what she does. That's the least interesting stuff. And then I'm going to talk about Pearlie Armstrong and what he gets up to. And then the most interesting stuff happens with Maggie and Negan, obviously. So yeah, I'm going to save all of that for the spoiler review, don't worry. For those that haven't been caught up to that point, you will definitely know when I get into it. So you will be safe to not hear any spoilers. I still haven't watched episode 3. Like I said, I'm a week behind, so I eventually will catch up. I didn't watch it when it came on immediately, so that's why I'm a week behind. And I've just had other stuff going on. So yeah, we'll do one more. Yeah, I told you guys I really want to get into this spoiler review. Alright, I'll do the rest of that later. Alright, so that is it for the gameplay portion of the video. So now, I'm getting ready to get into my spoiler review of The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1 Episode 2 Who's There spoiler review. So if you do not want to know anything, or if you're not caught up this is the time to click off the video, because I will be going into the episode. And like I said, I'm going to be going into the least interesting parts to the most interesting parts of the episode. So I'm going to start talking about everything Jenny does, then Pearlie Armstrong, and then all of the stuff that happens with Maggie and Negan is going to be left for last, because that's the most interesting stuff of the episode. And if you are clicking off the video, I just want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and for your continued support, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, for those that are still around and you want to hear my thoughts, I'm getting ready to get into the review in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so, like I said, I'm going to start with all of the stuff that happens with Jenny, only because that's the least interesting stuff. It's not a whole lot going on there, but it's something going on there. There's more interesting stuff happening, and if I miss anything, I do apologize. I think I have all this stuff remembered, so okay, here we go. So this section, this is all about Jenny and what she does. There's not much here. So Jenny arrives at the new hilltop, and you can definitely tell it has hilltop vibes, but it's definitely not the original location. It looks like more of a it looks like they moved into a big warehouse, or almost like a big factory. Almost not quite a factory, but they are in this big, it's just like a big building, almost like a complex building. And, I guess they couldn't use the original set, so they had to write it in, oh, we had to move because, to keep all of us safe. So Jenny gets to the new hilltop with that one woman that agreed to take her back there, for Maggie. And this guy, he's climbing this silo grain where they keep all of their grain, and supposedly, according to Maggie, they took all of their grain, and it even sounds empty, but here's where that becomes suspicious a little bit later on. Jenny is trying to get adjusted to all of the people around her. They even have like a class happening outside, and it's like they're attending school pretty much, and nothing really much happens with that. So a little bit later on in, the episode, like I said, I'm going out of order. This is just focused on Jenny. So later on, she's in her room, and that one woman brings her food, but there's one item that's suspicious. She has bread. Now, I'm pretty sure, I'm not a food genius or anything, but I'm pretty sure grain is an ingredient used to make bread. Now, if they don't have any grain, how do they have fresh bread? I don't know. That's kind of odd. I don't know if that's a gap by the developers, or that might be intentional, because maybe Maggie isn't being 100% truthful. I mean, I'm going to go with maybe Maggie's not being 100% truthful. So, she's got a piece of bread, even though supposedly they don't have any grain. And all of her, the whole part with Jenny ends with her leaving the new hilltop. And that kind of got spoiled for me. The fact that she actually left, because she walks out of the building at night. She sneaks out of the building at night. She gets on this motor pad that they have near the front, and she's getting on it, and she's like looking, and at that time, I didn't know if she was going to leave or stay, or if she was going to think about it or get caught. But apparently she left. So she left the new hilltop, and I assume she's going to go to Manhattan. It would only make sense because she knows that, you know, that's where Negan is. So yeah, not a whole lot going on with Jenny. So now, Pearly Armstrong. His parts are a little bit more interesting. He has a little bit more going on in this episode. So we catch up with Pearly Armstrong. That's the marshal that wants Negan alive. That way he can, you know, torture him or whatever. So we catch up with Pearly Armstrong, and he sees his other marshal beside him that was eaten by walkers in the previous episode. And you know, obviously he can't do anything to help him. He's a walker, so he decides to try to grab the marshal's rifle. And I'm guessing the marshal that got eaten by the walkers maybe was his brother or something. I think there's a little bit more, you know, hints on that, because Pearly Armstrong has a letter from a Joel Armstrong. Now, that could be his brother, or maybe that's his father. It's kind of unclear exactly who Joel is, but it's either his brother or his father. So he gets out of the room, and Armstrong, he knows where he's going, because he goes into a apartment complex building. He breaks into an apartment, and he sees that, I'm guessing his father was sitting in a chair, and, well, he had a gun, and you can guess what happened. And, you know, not really gonna say what he did, but, you know, I guess his father was left there thinking nobody was going to come get him, or maybe he got bit or something, and, you know, no need to really say what he did, but you can guess what he did. And it upsets Armstrong, obviously, because that's either his brother or father. I'm more likely going to lean toward his father, but maybe the third episode has answers on that. So Armstrong, he goes, you know, once he sees that, he gets the gun and he leaves the apartment, and he's walking down an alleyway, and he ends up walking into a trap, and this net captures Armstrong, and this is how the episode ends. I'm just doing this out of order. So Armstrong has, he's been in this net trap for hours, and at nighttime, these people in these, on these motorcycles come and see that someone's been, you know, that a trap's been, you know, not released, but a trap's been set off, and what do you know it's the Crow Rat and his people, and yeah, that's how the episode ends, with the Crow Rat capturing Pearly Armstrong. So, yeah, okay, now let's get to Maggie and Negan, especially Negan. Oh boy, this is where the most interesting shit happens in the episode. Okay, so the episode starts with Maggie and Negan chasing the pigeon lady. The same lady that gave them a jump scare, because the pigeon lady, I'm just going to call her that because I can't remember her actual name. So the pigeon lady took all of their stuff, so they're chasing after her to get their stuff back, and they end up going toward this side of a building, and she passes them this, you know, there's a zip line, and there's like a thing to, you know, zip line across, and she throws it to, you know, passes it to them, and at that point, I'm thinking, okay, she doesn't want to do anything to hurt them. She's obviously wants their help or something. So they end up catching up to the pigeon lady, and she can't speak English. She's speaking a different language. I don't know. It on the subtitles it said Hebrew. So apparently she's speaking Hebrew. Can't understand what she's saying, but why I'm calling her the pigeon lady, I'll tell you in a second. So she reaches in her bag and she gives Negan a pigeon. Yes, he eats the pigeon. So yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta eat what you gotta eat to survive in the apocalypse. So she ends up leading Maggie and Negan to her group of people. She has a group of people, and they're not very trusting of Maggie and Negan, understandably, because they don't know them, and, you know, they don't know each other. So, obviously, they don't trust one another, and Maggie tries to say that they were taking a boat trip to Canada, and that they were washed ashore to Manhattan, and those people, they instantly did not believe her, and they get captured, and they're, you know, held under guard, and Negan says, you know, they obviously didn't believe your bullshit story about us going to Canada. Like, he's like, even I wouldn't have believed that. He's like, why don't we just start over and just tell them the truth? That'd be better than lying to these people that we don't know. And so as they're in the bathroom, they're tied up. Negan tells this story of one time when the Crow Rat was a savior, and it gets explained why. This part gets explained as to why he's missing an ear and why he wasn't with the saviors. Okay, so this is before Rick and all of them meet Negan. This is before that ever happens. Negan explains that the Crow Rat was on, I think he was on patrol or something one time, and apparently somebody was in a car, in an abandoned car, and it was a little kid, and Negan told him to go check it out, and the Crow Rat did, and it's implied that the Crow Rat killed the kid. So Negan, he didn't stand for that bull crap, so he actually tries to kill the Crow Rat, but he misses, and in the process he hits his ear, and the Crow Rat just runs off, never to be heard of again until this series. So I like how they didn't leave that part hanging as to, okay, what happened to this guy's ear? Negan tried to blow his head off, but he hit his ear instead and missed, and so that's what happens with that. And we get a little flashback scene to where Herschel, this is back at the new hilltop before he got captured, apparently, and so I'm not sure how far this is back, but you know, Maggie says something to Herschel like, hey, you missed bow and arrow training or something like that, and he said, I skipped it because I didn't want to go, and Maggie is trying to smarten him up and wisen him up and say, boy, this is important. You never know when someone's going to mess with us or mess with you, and you need to be ready. And he just has this teenager attitude towards her in that moment, and I don't know if that'll be important. Maybe, maybe not. So that happens. So after they're there for a while, apparently the Crow Rat's people, they somehow found out that Maggie and Negan were there, so they decide to storm the place of these people's hideout, and they all go to the roof, and R.I.P. pigeon lady, because she ends up getting stabbed and killed by one of the Crow Rat's men. And Negan, this is the pretty interesting part here. Negan says, you know what, after they deal with the Crow Rat's man, instead of killing him, Negan is like, you know what, I'll handle this. He takes the guy with him back toward the building, because they're on the roof when all of this happens. So Negan and the guy go back into the building, and Maggie is following behind, and oh boy, this is where Negan's knock joke comes into it, and oh man, I loved this part. So he takes the guy once the Crow Rat's men are in the building on the ground floor. Negan is looking up above. He's up above looking down on them. So the guy that he has captured, he decides to smash his head into different pieces of glass, and this guy has this one guy takes his helmet off, and he has a neck beard, and Negan says some smart ass shit. He says to him, I mean, because come on, we love Negan, he always has something smart to say. So he says something about, hey, neckbeard, I know the world went to crap, but you could have groomed yourself up a little bit. And then apparently he's got a little rat tail on the back of his head, on the back of his hair. And Negan is like, you gotta be kidding me. You got a neck beard and a rat tail? He's like, man. He's like, why don't you do us all a favor and put your helmet back on and quit being a distraction to the rest of us? So this is where the knock knock joke gets to. He says, knock knock, who's there? Butter who? You better get your umbrellas out tonight because it's raining. And then that's when he slits the guy's throat over the railing, and the blood is pouring on them, and then he also guts the guy, and you see his guts just pouring over the railing, like, oh my god, oh man, that's just as vicious as the lineup. Maybe not as vicious as the lineup, but it's definitely in the top 3. It's definitely in the top 3 for Negan's more vicious. I would say it's definitely in the top 5 for sure. It's definitely not number 1, but it's without a doubt in the top 3 to top 5 for sure. Without a doubt. And he says, all of y'all need to get out of here because, it's going to be a storm. It's not going to rain. He says, hell, it's not even going to be a thunderstorm. He says it's going to be a hurricane, and he just tosses the guy over the railing, and they all run. That's when they've had enough. That's when they've had enough of that. After seeing that, I don't think they've ever seen anything like that. As far as I know, they haven't, because the guy gets his throat slit, he's got it, he gets thrown over the railing. Yeah, they've had enough for now, so... And then after all that happens, Negan turns around, and Maggie's watching all of this happen in the back. And once, Negan turns around, he sees that Maggie saw all of that, and that's triggering back her PTSD from the lineup. And I don't think she's interested, but it's definitely triggering her PTSD from the lineup, for sure. But she's seeing what it's like to be on Negan's side instead of opposite him. And I felt like that was very interesting. And pretty much, I already went over with how the episode ended. And they tell the truth to why, to those people as to why they're actually there. And one of them is like, okay, we can help you get to the Crow Rat, we can help you get to the Crow Rat if you want to die. And yeah, I don't think I forgot anything. And that's pretty much it for my spoiler review. Now, I haven't seen episode 3 just yet, so if I did miss anything, I do apologize. I don't think I did. If I did, it might have not been that important, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys for today, and that's going to do it for my spoiler review of The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1, Episode 2, Who's There? And if you have seen the episode, what did you guys think about it? Did you like it better than Episode 1? Or did you like it not as much? I honestly liked it a whole lot better than Episode 1 for sure, because more was happening, more was going on for sure. And, yep, that's all I got for you guys for today. So I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and for your continued support. Or if you're new, welcome in for the first time. All of you are very awesome, and I thank you again. And don't forget to hit the bell and switch on all notifications so you know the second I upload to YouTube. I am Buck Beak, and I'm gonna go fly away back to my nest. Until next time, bye guys.